Шановні колеги, вітаю.
Dear colleagues, welcome. We continue our working day. As usual, this time we are going to hear Colonel Lysenko, Speaker of the Presidential Administration for ATO, regarding the news from the ATO operation zone. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I offer to your attention the latest news about the events which took place in the ATO zone during the last 24 hours. In the Mariupol direction, yesterday there was a kind of silence. Only one fact of violation of the silence was registered near the village of Shirokino. According to operation information, our adversaries actually moved the heavy weaponry from the Sea of Azov to other section of the front, but we are prepared for any provocation on the part of our enemy. And in the next direction, there's around the clock combat action. Yesterday, they actively used the tanks, the illegal armed formations, first of all in Pitski and Opetne. Also, we registered the shelling by our enemies of the populated area, which are located far away from the line of contact among those Yasno-Brodivka, Peromaiski, and Vatsky district. They used 122 artillery guns, since it's impossible to use less powerful weaponry for this shelling. We also fixed powerful shelling of our positions when the enemy used 152 millimeter guns, but the provocation of our enemy do not remain unpunished. Ukrainian servicemen have some what to use to defend themselves. Within the Minsk agreements provisions in Lugansk directions, the militants activated their combat actions all along the line of contact. Yesterday, before the sunset, the adversary, the enemy's actual shelled using the Grads, the village of Nizhny, which is 10 kilometers away from the front line. Also, they used the mortars and artillery fire in the actually concentrated the weaponry in Peromaisk, Slavyan-Serbsk, Vasila Gora, and near the monument to Prince Igor, which is on the highway Lugansk, Stanitsa Lugansk. Over the last 24 hours, we lost one Ukrainian serviceman, 12 more were wounded. International observers document new facts of the movement of the military equipment of the militants, despite the statements of the leaders of the illegal armed formations about the withdrawal of the heavy weaponry. The members of a special mission of OSCE over the last 2 days recorded the movement of 12 tanks, T-64, on the territory controlled by the gangsters of the called LPR. Also, the one drone was registered. The drone registered 2 tanks and 3 mortars on the territories controlled by the so-called DPR. The SBU actually received new proofs of the presence of the availability of the weapons and armored, weapons of Russian make used by the militants. And now I'm going to show you a video regarding the confiscated mortar launcher. Not far from the populated area of Oktyabr of Mariupol district, Donetsk region, we captured 2 mortar launch Shmel of the Russian make. The SBU of Ukraine and the Armed Forces of Ukraine found out that according to the marking on this mortar launch, it was made in 2008. The mentioned type of mortar launchers is used only by the army of the Russian Federation, is a launcher of the one used special grenade, which uses the super pressure and high temperature. Thank you. Also, near this Stanitsa Luganska, the place of the enemy's shelling against the ATO forces, our guys confiscated, or let's say found two more proofs or evidences of the Russian support of the militants. We are talking about the containers from two reactive grenade launchers of Arshaget 2 2006 and 11 years of make, which are used only by the armed forces of the Russian Federation. SBU also revealed the Armored West, which is produced in Moscow. Also, the employees of SBU revealed three hiding places with the weapons and the ammunition not far from Mariupol. At the same time, on the occupied part of Lugansk region, the economic crisis is aggravating. According to the information we have, the occupationists plan to fire about 60% of the miners on the territory controlled by them. Among those, the enterprise of Lutugin district, about 800 persons, Slavyan-Serbsky, Privatsky districts, about 1,000 persons, the Krasny Luch, up to 5,500. At the same time, our reconnaissance teams record the aggravation of the moral state among the sources of the illegitimate, let's say, armed forces. At the same time, the leaders of those formations try to set up their own military college in Donetsk to train new militants. Ukrainian servicemen improve their combat skills. Several days ago, on the basis of the Ukrainian armed forces, in the Military Institute of Telecommunication and Informatization, they started the field training for the students over the period of 1 month. They are going to to upgrade their skills using the firing, engineering, medical training, and the self-defense. Ukrainian National Guards trained to eliminate the armored vehicles. In the Dnipropetrovsk, they provided 5 days of training for practical training. Shooting using the grenade launcher SPG-9, and those weapons actually proved their reliability in the east of Ukraine. And experienced officers actually had the task to ensure the safety for their subordinates. And also we have all the trainees successfully coped with their tasks, and the conditional enemy was eliminated. The rotation in subunits of Ukrainian law enforcement agencies continues. Another team of militia of Chernigivsk region went to the east of Ukraine. Chernigiv militia men will actually guard and protect and ensure the civil order and serve the checkpoints. Those who for a long time provided defense in Chernohina, there's some of the members of this team actually defended Chernohina, and then together with the armed forces of Ukraine we're fighting the Baltsovo and return from there. There is no doubt regarding the stamina and courage of those guys. Also, to zone another, let's say, team of the militiamen from the district sections from Lviv region also went to the zone. This is the end of our story. Can you give some more details on the situation in Nizhny Vitoshkivitz according to the information of the civil administration, the Lugansk region? There was some shelling of the camp, civil camp. I can give you information about civilians because I haven't information about the military units in their positions. If we have some kind of information about this kind of shelling, if we have some details of that, we usually provide these through the journals. Any more questions, please? Uninformed agency, Mr. Lysenko, the information regarding the presence of the Russian weapons and the ammunition on the territory of the ATO zone. How long shall the world community be provided with the evidence regarding the active supply of the weaponry and ammunition using trains and the big trucks of this equipment to the DPR LPR? Is there any possibility to switch to more resolute actions for the world community, maybe UN General Assembly, to recognize the evidence of the participation of the Russian Federation and their presence in the fight together with terrorists in the east of Ukraine? Those evidence which we managed to collect during the last year and demonstrate practically in all countries to the world community, to diplomats, to the mass media which work beyond the boundaries of Ukraine. Owing to those evidence proofs, we managed to prove actually the direct fault of the Russian Federation associated with their supplies of the weapons and funding the militants in the illegal armed formations. We have some result. Yesterday they approved the decision to extend their sanctions against Russian Federation. Also, there is the information from the United States for the support given to Ukraine to the tune of $300 million. A lot of information comes from other countries. There are some trainings and exercises. So we managed to convey to persuade the international community that we are not fighting the combatants or militants, but specifically the Russian Federation soldiers who are present in the territory of Donbass area. We continue to gather this kind of evidence, which will be instrumental for us to sue the aggressive country in the Hague Tribunal. There is one more question. You're welcome. Vitaly Shkolny, RTVI channel. The weapons which you demonstrated, is it allowed by the international conventions? And do the militants use the weapon which is forbidden by the international conventions? If the militants observed all the norms of the international conventions, then number one, they would not be present on territory of Ukraine. Number two, if they were there, they would not use this kind of weapons. And we could speak about some religious group which would support peace, pray to the God, and their only weapons would be some manuals and words, but they do not use those. They are constantly involved in all kinds of lies, and they use only those weaponry, or the weapon which is forbidden or prohibited by international agreements and conventions. They violate all the provision of those agreements in the general system of the international security, and they have violated whatever can imagine, whatever they could violate. They're champions in this specific respect. If there are no more questions or comments, this brings us to the end of your briefing. Thank you very much. See you again. And the agenda of the program.